Hello and welcome to the Rock Paper Shotgun. This is the RPS sessions live from EGX Res 2019. I'm Matthew, one of the Rock Paper Shotgun video department. The idea of the RPS sessions is to give you a window into Res and let you see some of the exciting demos from the show floor. And as you can see from this footage, we are in the exciting world of Snooker 19, and I am joined by Simon from Lab 42. Hello, Simon.
Hi, great to meet you.
How you doing?
Good to be here showing you snooker today.
Great. How has Res been for you so far?
Having a lot of fun here. It's nice and chilled, and the interviews have been great in general. People have really enjoyed the game, and that's what it's all about, really.
Awesome. So let's dive right in. Tell me about Snooker 19.
So Snooker 19, we decided to make a snooker game because nobody's been making officially licensed snooker games for 9 years now, I think it is, since the last one came out. Myself and Justin Forrest, who's the lead designer on the title, we both worked on snooker games back in 2003, 2004, 5, 6 with Codemasters and Blade Interactive for a series of officially licensed snooker games back then. So we kind of knew how to make snooker games. We knew what the market was for snooker games, that people were excited about this. And we knew, most importantly, I think, how to innovate and make the best snooker games from all that experience that we'd gained. So now was really the right time. Snooker's blown up huge in China. It's the third most popular sport out there.
Really?
There's snooker clubs on almost every block nowadays. It's insane. I went into the Chinese restaurant down the road from me the other week and I was carrying my snooker cue because me and my designer play a lot of real snooker as well nowadays. And all of the Chinese staff were like, "Oh, you play snooker? Who's your favourite player?" And all of this stuff.
Oh, really?
It's really huge out there.
Is it the same players that are big here, big around the world?
They are big, but also the Chinese players have really broken through into the top 128 over the last few years.
Yeah.
I think about almost a quarter of the top 128 is now Chinese players. So yeah, they've been really coming through, and it's pushed in a big way out there nowadays.
Oh, it makes sense to be making a snooker game then.
Indeed. Shall I make a break?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So in snooker, we've gone for a very, very televisual style, and you can see that in the way we're positioning our cameras and everything else. That's really come from our relationship with World Snooker, the license that we have. They provide us things like the computer-aided designs for the stadiums with all of the camera positions and all of that kind of cool stuff. So we were able to make the most authentic snooker experience to date. Of course, we've got all of the top 128 players. We've got 28 venues. We've got a full career mode and all of that stuff. Right now, I'm playing against myself. In a minute or two, I'm going to restart and I'm going to join in and get you to play.
Oh, God.
But before we do that and give it a go, I'm just going to show a few shots and a little bit of snooker. You can hear we've got...
He's missed the pot.
That was a very nearly a clever trick shot, but it wasn't. So snooker's a hard game. What I love about snooker and making snooker games is that when I go to the snooker club, I'm terrible. Like, my highest break is 28. But I feel like I should be so good. And it's the same if you play FIFA. You don't want to feel like you're down the park getting out of breath and missing every shot. You want to feel like Lionel Messi when you're playing FIFA.
Yeah, I've always found, like, I get the idea of, like, snooker and pool and what, like, the angles. I know, like, how it's meant to work, but I can't always necessarily execute it.
Exactly, and that's what we're trying to allow people to do in snooker. And what hopefully I'm going to be able to do with you in a couple of minutes, what we'll be doing is setting it up so that with a basic handicap so that we can play against each other.
You won't be too happy with this position here.
With you playing in the most easy way with nice big aiming aids and lots of assistance.
Sounds good.
And I'll be playing on the hardest possible way.
So you've got... So
it's half a chance,
got the official
but
license.
chance nonetheless.
What's that sort of entail in terms of access to the players? And
so
not
we
quite.
wanted all of the players. We're a small studio,
solace.
And to model all 128 players by hand would have been a huge amount of work and effort. So our art pipeline, instead, we wanted to 3D capture all the players. So we took out... World Snooker were really supportive of this. We took out to two of the official snooker events, one in Guildford, I can't remember where the other one was, I think it was in Coventry actually. We took out these 3D capture rigs, huge 80 camera systems that can scan the entire face of the player and body of the player all in one go, very quickly and easily.
He's attempting the plant, I think.
Snooker were really supportive of this. We did have a few niggly problems, like in your studio here, a capture rig of that kind of thing, it has a lot of lights pointing at them.
Yeah.
And the first player we tried to capture, I can't remember who it was, but we had him in the rig just before he was due to go on for his match, and pressed the button, and he was almost blinded, the poor guy,
no.
right before his snooker match. After we did that, after that first one, of course, we switched to only taking them after they've finished their match.
Very good.
On the other hand, that meant that I had a young kid who was trying to qualify and had lost, almost crying when he was sat in the chair. But
so you've got to look out for
you get it both
sad,
ways.
sad player.
Indeed. So yes, we've been developing this for 14 months now, roughly. Had a lot of fun playing the game, working on it. We've got as well as the players. Snooker gave us They wanted to support us in making it as authentic as possible, and that really, for me, it comes from having the right table, the right balls, the right physics, and all of that stuff. So we initially, we asked for a sample of the bays and some CAD on what the table looks like. They wanted to send us an entire table, but we don't really have room for that. So we said instead, can we get a pocket, like the stuff that's all used to make up the pocket? They sent us 6 pockets for some reason. I don't know why, because if you look, a corner pocket and a middle pocket, that's all there is. The 4 corner pockets are all the same. But anyway, they send us all the pockets.
They'll send you the other bits, and you can gradually build a
we can build our own table. They sent us an entire felt as well. So yes, they've really helped us bring this authenticity to the game.
And I'm interested, considering the time gap since you last worked on this kind of game, what has changed, like tech-wise, in terms of making these games, like that you're capable of now that you wouldn't have been before?
Well, it's a huge advantage where we are now. We're working in Unreal Engine, and that provides the beautiful graphics and everything else that you can see here. It provides a lot of the stuff that you see going on. We actually chose to write our own physics system from the ground up. We felt that snooker is such a precise sport, and physics is such an important part of it, that we wanted full control of that system ourselves, and to know exactly what was going on with physics at all times. That's paid off for us really well, I think. And our physics, we had Sean Murphy in, who's one of the top 16 players in the world. He came in to visit us a couple of months ago now and played the game with us, and he was blown away by the accuracy of our physics. As I start to do clever things like apply side and adjust the cue elevation, you can see the trajectory of the cue ball is changing a huge amount. He was amazed by how accurately we'd managed to model that, and the very subtle touches where the cue ball kicks out before going in the opposite direction, all these clever things. He was actually saying it's so accurate that we should be offering it as a training aid to coaches for real players. Yeah, and he was serious about it as well. So yeah, that was the best validation we could have ever hoped for. Really. Right, so I've been knocking a few balls in and missing a few balls as well, but I'm going to get you to play a few shots if you're all right. So I'm going to jump back to the front end briefly. I think because the EGX build, we built it so that it's only one controller, so I am going to be passing you the pad probably. It was easier to do that on the show floor.
It's good old Ronnie O'Sullivan there.
Indeed. So we have 3 modes of snooker in snooker. So we've got regular snooker with 15 reds, like you just saw. We also have a 6 red snooker, which is a variant of the sport that I think came out of Thailand and is much faster. Of course, it being only 6 reds, if one player misses, then chances are the other one just goes on to clear up and win. So we've also got a mode that's timed, where each player has only 30 seconds to take their shot. Those are the basics of the snooker part. Sorry, let me just set this up.
Amateur hour.
Okay.
I think Mark Selby is anything but an amateur.
We have a bunch of difficulties, and that affects the way the aiming aid is displayed, from amateur, which is the easiest, through to no aiming aid at all, where you literally have to eye up the whole thing.
Oh, really?
I've tried that one. It is too hard for me, even right now. We weren't going to include that mode, but players had been requesting it. Some of them are real masochists, you know.
Yeah.
So yes, I'll play on Master Aiming Aid, and you'll see that it makes it quite a bit harder, but it provides a nice handicap for us to play between ourselves. So what I'm going to do is just initially I'm going to break up the reds for you, so that hopefully you can get some reds to pot. All right, I'll take you through the controls.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, your cable's
Yeah,
a little on the
yeah,
short side.
yeah.
So the left stick is going to be your aiming, left and right.
Oh, yeah.
To fine-tune your aiming, you would hold in the left trigger button. So once you've got, that looks good. So let's hold in the left trigger, and then you can just left trigger, not right trigger.
Oh, yeah.
Left
Oh,
and
I
right.
see. Yeah.
That gives you much finer tuning over the angle. I'm just going to click this one, which will reset your spin to center. I think you need to aim a little. Yeah, there's good. So then the right stick up and down is going to adjust the power. You don't particularly need to adjust the power right now.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
We've got 3 phases to our shot. So the first one is the TV camera. If you push the A button, then we're going to go into the Q camera.
Mm-hmm.
You're already pretty well lined up, so I wouldn't change anything there. You're going to press A again, which goes to the action cam. Everything's locked in now, and you're ready to take a shot. When you're ready, you're going to pull back on the right stick, and when it gets into the blue zone, ideally at the center where it says 50% now, you're going to push forwards, just like you would with real Q in real life. It's a beauty. It's beauty.
I'm a pro.
Indeed.
I am playing on amateur. What are the aids that it's giving me here to help?
What you'll see, I'll show you the key differences. So the first part is the orange line is the object ball line. On amateur aiming aid, that is longer. It also won't fan out as quickly when you start to hit the ball less directly. The white line is the runoff of the white after it's hit the object ball. So you've got a nice long, both aiming aids are very long, and they're also quite precise. So even though you're playing at quite an angle here, you've got a nice long aiming aid going almost all the way to the pocket there.
That's what I like.
Yep. So let's move one camera forwards. And just fine tune if you need to a little bit. I think you're right there.
Yeah.
And into action and take your shot. So I won't disturb you while you're taking a shot. Though I think it's probably bad sportsmanship in real snooker to talk to people while they're actually trying to execute their shot. So well, you'll see if you ever actually let me have another shot, which I'm hoping you're not going to. Then on my aiming aid, I get no object ball runoff at all, and the fan and distance of the object ball, the direction it's going in, will be much more. It needs you to interpret where the ball's going a little bit more.
Right. Oh no, I was a little underpowered. That's fine.
Do you know, you're already doing better than most of the interviewers that I work with today.
You're just
no,
saying that.
I'm not even joking.
I've got to do it because there are people watching. I don't look like an idiot.
I know exactly what you mean. But no, you're doing well here.
Oh, what would I go for next?
What are we on? We're on a colour. So let's knock the black into the corner. So the black's worth 7 points. It's the most valuable colour out of all of them. As you're in a nice position to take it here. So in addition to the standard offline modes that we've got here, of course we've got career where you play through all 28 of the official World Snooker tournaments. We've got online mode, so a basic quick match where you get matched against people of reasonably even difficulty to you. I think the online mode I'm most excited about, we've got a tournament mode where our tournaments are going to run at the same time as the real world tournaments. So in 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks, the World Championship starts in the real world up in Sheffield, and that runs for a couple of weeks. Our tournament will run at the same time, so we'll have our World Championships in the game at the same time, and you play against each other, players on the leaderboard, and at the end of the 2 weeks, the real World Championships, our game finishes. Our tournament finishes. You're doing beautifully here. Our tournament finishes at the same time, and then we reward people with cosmetics based on their performance during that tournament. So you get a nice new bow tie.
Oh, okay.
I like that. Or whatever it might be, waistcoats and trousers and all of those.
But that's what I like. I think the kind of the things you associate with snooker, the world of snooker, it's got a slightly different vibe to it than some other sports. It's kind of you know what I mean. It has a
we talked a lot about whether we could have like a fiery queue and all of those cool things that you do in games, but it doesn't particularly feel like an authentic snooker game if things are on fire. And I'm sure World Snooker would support us whatever we want to do. We've got such a great relationship with those guys, but fiery balls and explosions and stuff, I don't know, that might be a step too far. This is a tough shot.
I don't think this is going to work, but let's have a look. This could be the end of my amazing winning streak.
Oh
well. That would have been. I think that would have been a bit of a cheesy if I'd successfully got that in.
Okay, let me knock a few balls in. So you can see on my screen, I can't see where the white's going to go after it hits an object ball.
Yeah.
And the cone effect that's applied, the fanning out of the aiming aid, is much more prevalent, and also the distance. I can't see very far. I have to figure out where it's going largely. Fortunately, you've left me a pretty simple start here, I think. So not knowing where the white's going to go, I'm going to just push through a little bit and probably try and play the blue into the top corner pocket. That's my idea. Whether it works or not, I've gone too far. I might have even gone into the pocket here. Oh, that's disastrous.
That's all right. I honestly,
do you know what? I'll pretend it's deliberate because I wanted to get you back into the game.
Yeah. Should use this to my advantage.
So you're trying to pot a red, obviously, but none of those are particularly easy. You could have actually forced me back in. That was the option that it gave you, that it popped up with there. When somebody fouls, you generally have two options that way at least. If they actually foul by missing the pot, then you can force a retake.
That's probably unwise, right?
You could definitely. I'd take it on, because what's the worst that could happen? You could miss, and then I could pot all the balls. But that's not going to happen based on my performance so far.
Oh, I think that was sort of it. That felt slightly inevitable.
So we're just finishing up Snooker at the moment, and we've got most of the versions through submission.
And what platforms are you coming to?
So we're on the 17th of April. We're on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Switch versions following slightly behind, and will be still out this spring. Xbox, PlayStation, all available for pre-order right now.
Awesome. And if people want to follow you, follow the game, where can they find you on Twitter and the like?
They can. We're Snooker 19 Game Twitter on Twitter. I believe it's displayed on the screen right now.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for coming and talking us through Snooker 19.